And I just want to say right off the top, this is not just a series for married couples. I believe that everyone in this room will gain a lot from this series. And so whether your relationships are outside of marriage or inside, believe me, you're going to get something out of this. I know, ladies, when you hear me say, some of you, when you hear me say we're doing a series on relationships, you say, finally. Finally, he's going to get to this. And then guys, I can hear some of you thinking, I was just starting to like that guy, and now he's going to do this to me. So I understand that we come at this with different viewpoints. I mean, ladies, guys, we think about relationships somewhat like our car. Let me explain. We don't want to work on our car. We just want it to work. And so when you say to your husband or your boyfriend or your dad or your brother, hey, let's talk about our relationship, he hears, let me get you fixed. Now, remember when you were little and your dad took the puppy to the vet to get it fixed? Remember that? Well, then the puppy comes home with a plastic cone around its head, and you go, that's what that means? That's why we don't really want to get fixed. We just want it to work. And so, ladies, when you say to a guy that I want to talk about our relationship, it reminds me that the time when I'm driving down the road and, I'm in Jackie's car and we're together and I haven't been in her car for maybe a month or so and it's making this horrible noise. And Jackie, do you hear that? And she goes, yeah, it's been doing it for about a month. And I go, a month? Because I want to get that fixed. Well, see, the thing is, that's kind of how we think. And I just want you to know that's how dudes are. Now, full disclosure, I have never been great or thrilled about working on problem points in relationships, and Jackie will attest to that. But I can tell you that I'm more excited about working on relationships than trying to fix a broken one, okay? So that's why we're going to explore this series, What Happy Couples Know. Relationships with those who are single, relationships with those who are married, relationships in the workplace, relationships in your church family, relationships between siblings, all of it's in play, everybody. And I challenge you to be here for the next 4 weeks to go on this journey and to see it as a relationship training experience. Now, I think all of us know there's value in good training. And the fact is that we have been in relationship training since the day we were born. And guys, we have been in severe relationship training since the day we fell in love with that girl. Watch this.
See, a lot of men go through their entire lives never realizing they're being trained. Guys, if you got a wife, a girlfriend, a mother, or a daughter, you are being trained. And just because they ain't using the cattle prod don't mean it ain't happening. I've been married 18 years to an awesome girl. It did not dawn on me until about year 5 she was training me, and I remember the night I realized it. We were both in bed reading one night, and my wife said, I'm hot. And I closed my book, got out of bed, walked over to the wall. I turned on the ceiling fan. I was almost back to the bed, and I went, whoa. I wasn't hot. And I guarantee you the next morning she called her mother and said, Mama, it is working so well. Last night all I had to say was, I'm hot, and he got out of bed and turned on the ceiling fan. And I'm sure her mother said, baby, I am so proud of you. Oh, I'd put your daddy on the phone and let you tell him, but I just said I'm hungry, and he ran into town to get me something to eat.
Yeah, I know you'd like to have more of Jeff Foxworthy, but it's just me, sorry. But anyway, we are going to have some fun with this series. I'm really excited about going forward. In a couple of weeks, Mother's Day, we're going to have some special guests here, and I'm already fired up about you meeting them and hearing what they have. And then Parker's going to teach a little bit later in the month, and Parker's always really good, and so I just can't wait to hear what he has to say. But I promise you, no matter what your circumstance is, if you'll hang with this, you'll get something out of this series. One of the best passages in the Bible on relationships is found in 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 5. And so let me read that to you. Follow along. All of you clothe yourselves with humility toward one another, because God opposes the proud, but he gives favor, shows favor or grace to the humble. And he uses these terms, clothe yourself, which means cover yourself, blanket yourself with humility. Biblical humility works in every human relationship. Whether you work with someone, whether you live with people, whether you go to school with folks, whether if you're married, if you're dating, it doesn't matter. This works if you'll let it work. The Bible is not just them. The Bible is us. The Bible is me. And the Bible tells me how to conduct my life. And humility is a rich biblical word. What it means is to bring yourself low. It simply means to put yourself in the number 2 position. And that's what it really means. And now, is that easy? I was at a meeting Friday and Chris Gopin said, ego is not your amigo. And we all know that, but do we live it? Because we all have hopes, dreams, and desires, and that's healthy. We should. God puts those in us. And I brought a little prop today to explain this. This is what I'm calling, because of, thank goodness for the dollar store, my happily ever after bag. They actually made that for me. They're really great people. And I think everyone in this room has something like this happening in your life. You have a happily ever after bag. And so, for instance, in this bag, you're going to find all kinds of things. I'm just going to pull some of this out. And this stand may not make it. You know, we have this incredibly amazing group of people back here in this booth where they're so creative. Can you give them a big round of applause for all the work they do here? I mean, were you here for Easter? Did you see that thing they did with the names? And I was just like bawling like a baby when I saw that. And then they give me this stand to use. Look at this. What? Kidding me? Anyway, it may not make it. I don't know. I got all kinds of stuff in my happily ever after bag. I got romance. Because, I'm a romantic guy, believe it or not. I got some romance in me. Jackie does too. And so, we expect people to meet our needs romantically, right? How about just other things like money? Have you noticed that in your happily ever after bag, maybe money might be a part of that? How many of you like to use a little bit of money once in a while? Anybody here? So you can relate? These are $100 bills that I printed off on my copier, so they're one-sided. So don't get any ideas. You're not going anywhere with you. But do we have different hopes, dreams, and desires as couples when it comes to how we use money? I mean, obviously we do, right? What about, how about kids? Anybody got any hopes, dreams, and desires when it comes to dollar store again? They didn't have any boys. I'm an all-girl family. I'm hoping for a girl grandchild someday. Anybody? Anyway, so, yeah, we have hopes, dreams, and desires about kids, but do we see raising kids the same way? Like anybody married that has kids, do you always see things the same way when it comes to how that happens? I don't think so. I don't know. I got these. Is there conflict in your marriage ever? These are Riley McNeil's boxing gloves. I still haven't figured out why she needs to have boxing gloves. I got to find out. But anyway, she loaned them to me. But anyway, it's inevitable. We're going to have conflict, and it's not will we fight. It's rather how can we make that productive? How can we make it work for us? And so I have found in my years of helping people that you probably are one of 2 types. There are pressure cookers and there are volcanoes. They both burn you to no end, right? The pressure cooker is like boom, all over you, and then they walk away like I feel better. The volcano is more like it seethes and it churns and it gets hot and hotter until finally it blows the top of the mountain off. And here's the point. Both of them will burn you. And so we know conflict's a part of our relationship. It just happens. I mean, I got other stuff in here, but the point is that all of us have this bag, I'm going to call it the happily ever after bag, that has hopes, dreams, and desires in it. And here's the mistake that we want to make. And all of us do it. There's not a person in this room that doesn't do this. We want to take this bag and hand it to another person and say, here, fill my bag up. Make this work for me. And we do it in marriage. We do it with friends. We do it at work. We do. We bring our happily ever after bag to another person, and it becomes a bag not of hopes, dreams, and desires, but a bag of expectations. I expect you to do this. And here's the problem with that. That no person can fulfill these expectations that only God is meant to fulfill. Because the simple matter of fact is, God needs to be your number one. He needs to be your priority relationship. And when that happens, that changes the complexion of this whole scenario. A man asked Jesus a great question. He said, "Teacher, what's the greatest commandment in the law?" What he's saying is, Jesus, if we're going to boil down life, what's the most important thing for us to do? And Jesus responded, brilliance, of course. He said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. And the second, he gave him a bonus point. The second is like it. Love your neighbor, and that would be any person in your life other than you. Love your neighbor as yourself. So if you're going to put that on a priority tree, and you're going to put those characters on the tree, what would be the order? Love the Lord your God, he'd be on top, right? Then who? Who? Your neighbor, and then who? Yourself, right? Jesus lays it out for us. God's to be my number one. Don't put unrealistic expectations on someone because they're not able to meet those things. Happy couples, happy people in relationships set clear expectations and priorities in place. But here's the reality. Far too many people who are single, for instance, are looking for someone to take the one spot, and that person might not even know God. So if you're married, it means that God's your number one, your spouse is your number two, and then everybody else falls in order after that. If you're engaged, your fiancé should be number two, as God is your number one. And if you're single, you should be seeking the one while you're waiting for the two, but you let God work in that. But here's the problem. We get it all mixed up. We take our chances. Instead of seeking the right person because we have the right order, we take the wrong choice because we're lonely or we want to fill some need or we want them to do something in our happily ever after bag that we want them to do. And so we put the number two in the number one slot. God gets pushed out. And so we have this bag of hopes, dreams, and desires. We say, here, meet these expectations. And we don't do that at first. I mean, when you're dating, that's not the way it's working. It's like, oh, can I do for you? Can I do this? You know, you're doing all kinds. But as life goes on, the expectations rise. And so what happens is we hope for this certain kind of life, and that person's not able to meet it, and then we get discouraged. And I see this a lot. I see this when someone has an unmet expectation in their past, for instance. Maybe they had painful, unmet expectations from their childhood life. They're growing up in a home that it wasn't so healthy. They didn't see a good model with their mom and dad. God wasn't number one in their relationship, so therefore the order was out of sync in their home. And so then they themselves look for this person who can fulfill their hopes, dreams, and desires. Expectations are a bear, okay? Even the best and most loving relationships will have expectations that collide. Expectations lead to my hopes, dreams, and desires colliding with your hopes, dreams, and desires. And we need to talk about this. This is where we need to pop the hood, guys, and say, am I off track here? Because if this isn't running right, I need to look at this. I need to find out where the noise is coming from. Because there are 4 things that can come from the collision point between two people's hopes, dreams, and desires. At least 4. So let me throw them out at you and let's see what you think. The first is you just leave. I mean, and this happens all too often. People say, yeah, I didn't sign up for that. You're not fulfilling in my life what I need from you. I will simply take my bag and I will take it to someone else. And that might sound somewhat reasonable until this is what happens. Not only are you taking that bag to someone else to do the thing that they're not going to be able to do, you've already piled in a bunch of other junk in that bag that came from that relationship. And it's messed up. And so you are just setting yourself up for more failure. Along with the failures of your past, you're laying them on another person, and this is happening all too often. Now, a second thing that can happen is we say, well, I just got to win. This is rampant in relationships. The extreme part of this scenario is when someone becomes a narcissist. A narcissist is a person who they have a bag and nobody else's bag even matters. It's my bag and nobody else. And there's even an anthem that was written to you by a man named Frank Sinatra, and the lyrics say what? I did it my way. The narcissist anthem. Not everyone is a full-fledged narcissist, but all of us deal with it. Because there's a lot of situational narcissists. And who gets left behind when I'm a narcissist? You do. Everyone else does. There's only one happy bag, and it's my bag. Forget you. And it's not a good way to live, and it will hurt you to no end. Now, here's another thing that people do. And this might not sound too bad at first, but there's problems with it. We just conform. We say, well, you know what? You have your bag. I have my bag. It's not worth the argument. I'm pretty passive. I'm just going to conform. I'm going to be a shell of the person that God made me to be. I'm not going to stand up for myself. And then the other person someday walks up and says, hey, you just don't seem like you're the same person I used to know. You're not the same person I married. What happened? You're not the same person I fell in love with. You just stopped being the person that I once was attracted to. And what happened was, you just conformed and you became a shell of the person that you once were. And that happens, doesn't it? Now here's another thing people do, and this one might seem the most reasonable, but let's break it down a little bit. We compromise. Now it's a noble intention. It makes sense, right? We're going to get along. And certainly compromise does have a place in our relationships. But if we live in compromise, what happens is we start keeping score. And the invisible scoreboard becomes a debt-debtor relationship. And that might work okay with your bank account, but it's a terrible model for a relationship. And there's these cliches that come with a compromising relationship. Well, we're give and take. It's 50-50. I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine. And you know, in some relationships, it works that way. If you're in a business relationship, yes, there are times. But the thing is, it takes the joy out of relationship. Now, let me explain it this way. Let's just suppose that you're in a downtime, and so you go to a person who has $1,000 to lend you, and you borrow the $1,000. The agreement is, it's a pretty amicable relationship. The agreement is that you'll pay off $100 a month for 10 months, and then you'll pay off the debt in 10 months. So $100, 10 months. So, you know, you're okay with that. Guy gives you $1,000. After a month, you come up to him, you got your $100 bill. Hey, here's my $100. And you're kind of excited. Hey, I'm doing what I said I'd do. I'm paying you off. You're kind of thinking, oh, he's going to really be happy. And he goes, oh, okay, thanks. I'll see you in a month. You're like, oh, that wasn't very exciting. But really, that's the relationship, right? I mean, if you're being honest, that is the relationship. And that is no way for people to live in close relationship. If I come to expect certain things from you or from Jackie or my kids, I'm not going to show her joy the way she expects when she performs in those levels. And I'm definitely not going to show her disappointment when she fails me. How important is humility? Humility is the decision to choose another person's hopes, dreams, and desires. That's what it is. The deal is bigger than my deal. And when God is your number one and that person's your number two, that means you're at least number three. And when that happens, everybody wins. Do you know what brings gratitude in a relationship? It's not expecting. I mean, it's when you don't expect something and it happens. That's what brings gratitude. And if you want your spouse to really be grateful for something, do something they don't expect. And then you'll find that it makes them happy. Because listen, if they owe you, they can't really love you. If they owe you, they can't really love you. Love is not developed in the happy bag of expectation. Love grows in giving, in grace, in mercy, in sacrifice. Some of you have been in marriages for years and years, and it's been 50-50 at best. And you wake up one day and you think, man, I don't want to give anymore. I'm tired of this relationship. I'm empty. There's no love found in 50-50. So you conform, or you leave, or you go into self mode, and you just live your life that way. So what do we do with this bag? Because this bag is real. Everyone in this room, every one of us has hopes, dreams, and desires. Don't deny that. But here's what we do. Now listen to me. We have to answer this question. The question is, what does the other person owe me? What does the other person owe me? Now, this will change your life if you'll do this. This can change your marriage. This can change your parental situation, whether you're the parent or the child. This can change your dating situation. The title of this message is what? Nothing, everything. And this is what happy couples know. They say, well, we got the house, we didn't get the house. We got the job, we didn't get the job. We got the kid, we didn't have kids. We can't afford the vacation, I think we can afford the vacation. I get the truck, I guess we're going with the minivan. But we're happy because we love each other and we're together. Seasonal allergies. Anybody else? This is mind-boggling and it's true. Happy couples, best friends, parents, and their children live every day under the assumption that they don't owe another person, that they owe the other person everything, and they expect nothing in return. And this is hard, right? Because we have been living all of our lives in this other scenario. When Jesus was wrapping up his time on earth as a man, right before he went to the cross, the night before, in John 13, it records that he said this: love each other just as I have loved you. That's how you should love each other. And then he did it. He gave his life. He humbled himself. He sacrificed for us. He set his bag aside and he took ours and he walked up that hill carrying a cross and he crucified himself, and he did, on that cross so he could deal with this for you and me. That's what he did. That's the kind of humility that God puts before us. That's the kind of Jesus. Jesus who was everything a man, a friend, a person should be. And at the forefront of his approach to us was this attitude of give and give. 100-100. You first, me second. He became one of us. He carried a cross. He scorned its shame. He lived his life in truth and grace. He took his bag of hopes, dreams, and desires and the expectations with that, and he set it aside, and he grabbed onto ours, and he went to a cross, and he crucified our sins on that cross. And now he calls each of us to do the same thing for each other. And if you never got that about Jesus, you need to learn more about Jesus. He doesn't call you to narcissism. He doesn't call you to conflict management. He doesn't call you to leave every time something gets hard. He calls you to love and to humble yourself. That's who he is. And that's what this moment of communion reminds us of. So let's pray about it, then I want to come back and bring some points to this that maybe will help you to take the next step. Lord, come to you today trying to learn to be more like you. And anytime I talk about relationships, whether it's friendship, marriage, being a dad, being a brother in the church to others, I can easily see my flaws. They become very apparent to me. And I think that's okay. Because I think that's the Holy Spirit saying to me, I can be different because of Jesus. And I hope others will see that too. So Lord, may this time of reflection be a time when we can stop and ask a simple question. Have I been letting my expectations get in the way of loving other people? Have I been letting my expectations get in the way of loving someone else? Lord, help us to feel that out. It's in Christ's name we pray. Amen. I want you to know when we do a series like this, it inevitably brings up a lot of stuff. There's a lot of emotions that come out of talking about the things we're talking about in this series. And this is very, very important. Very important. Please hear me. It would be easy for any of us to go to a person who we want to change and say, you need to hear this. This is for you. And you're probably right. They probably do need to hear it. And it likely is for them. But unless you see this as I've got to pop the trunk or the hood of my own car and look inside, you're going to fail in this. This is for you. So use this as an opportunity to let the Word of God, for the Word of God to pop the hood in your car, and so you can again focus on what 1 Peter says. All of you, listen to this, all of you clothe yourselves with humility. It doesn't say anything about somebody else. It's all about you. So I'm thinking about different kinds of scenarios that probably exist in this room this morning. There are some people here, you simply are not yet willing to let God take the number one slot in your life. Maybe it's new to you, or maybe you're obstinate because you've been burned in the past. I don't know, it could be other things. I'm just encouraging you, stick with this series. Because I think if you'll stick with this, God will answer some deep-seated needs in your life if you'll trust Him in that. Just say, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get through this. And I'm going to see what God has for me. Now, there are some of you here who you feel like you've been the humble one in your relationship. You say, I have bent over backwards for years to make this work, and no matter what I try, it doesn't work. Well, I understand the frustration of that. I think everybody in this room does. But there's a word that we use a lot in the Christian world that we should be developing for the rest of our lives. And the word is grace. And the way we describe the word grace, it's been defined this way: God's riches at Christ's expense. But there's also a different level of grace that we should own up to if we're Christians. Christians. If I'm a Christ-in, it's God's riches at my expense. Because I'm His person. And I need to live in grace toward others. God's riches at my expense. And I hope that you'll come with us on this journey to learn more about that.